Hey everybody, Brian here. In this video I want to show you this car here, which is a new Santa Fe plug-in hybrid. In this video I want to run through all the features that are on the inside and the outside of the car, and I'm going to have a quick comparison to the previous version, and we're also going to go for a drive in the car, which I think actually we'll start off with straight away. To get started in this car, I don't have to do this, but I can always pick the terrain. So I want to have an eco or a sporty or a customized version of how throttle responds and various inputs in the car. Or if I push the button, it goes across to terrain, and then I can pick between snow or mud or sand. Before you can also decide, so we're in hybrid mode at the moment, I can go for electric mode, which will actually put us into electric mode. Just give it a sec, you'll see the engine revolutions drop off. Now we're in full EV mode. Or I can press the same button again and we can go into hybrid mode, which is going to do some electric driving, little blast of electric driving combined with the petrol engine. And we are also going to have a automatic mode, which will go for the most optimal between hybrid or full electric mode while you're driving. As we get through the video, we will compare it to the previous model. I won't go through every detail because the video will be way too long, but auto hold, essentially, hill descent control, they're already there from the previous model. Parking camera, which we can turn on when we're going forward, and it's also going to have a park assist system. Again, we'll get into that. Parking sensors front and rear, and then it has this nice 6.6 inch display for the heating. So over here, warm or cold, and then see the nice little blue kind of tap either side when you touch a button. Has this little blue light either side. I think that's just cool looking. Anyway, all the controls in through there for heating, as you'd expect, with a little kind of display. Nice big knobs that you can use, very straightforward. And then also, you'll also have heated seats and cooled seats, and you'll also have heated steering wheel. And then for some people like screens, some people don't like screens. If you don't like the screens, you use this row over here. Home is home. Map, I can touch the map or I can press it here. Search, I can go into the map and search for where I want to go, or I can just press search here. Media, or I could just tap the radio. Over here then, more radio controls. A wildcard button, which basically means you can set it to do anything. So it's just one button, you can decide what you want it to be for. And then I can slide across here to go into settings, or I could have just pressed setup. So it's kind of touch the screen, or you have the hard row buttons if you don't like it. And another knob for up and down through various options and stations, or up and down through volume. This over here is going to look at my eyeballs to make sure I'm concentrating on the road, and then controls over here and over here. Oops, didn't take that off properly. So the ones on the right hand side are to do with the Bluetooth controls on the car, and also the radio controls on the car, and the ones on the left then are to do with trip meter, various information you can get on the car, and things like cruise control, which is adaptive, so it slows down when the car in front of you stops. Steering wheel is really nice compared to the old one. I hate using other brands, but it is very Land Rover, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a lovely looking steering wheel. It just reminds me of what I've seen on Land Rover. One last thing before I drive in the car, I'd always adjust the steering wheel so I can go in, out, up, down. So the other one was a manual adjuster, whereas this one is electronic. And the seat then has adjustments. So we have a relaxation seat, which means from this button the whole thing comes down backwards, and also then you have this section here which comes out for underneath your thighs, which is really cool. Obviously you're not going to do that while you're driving, but if you're sitting waiting for someone somewhere, that is a super comfortable seat. Really easy to use. Just press the button and it retracts itself. There's a nice little adjusters along here, so lumbar support for lower back, which is great, but you can also bring the height of the lumbar support up because we're all built differently in different sizes. And then in terms of the seat, I can bring that out for extra support underneath while I am driving, which is kind of cool. And then also I go backwards, forwards, I go upwards, I go downwards, and then I've got the back part of the seat controlled from there as well. Sitting in a car like this, it's always going to feel kind of, in my opinion, I think it feels kind of prestigious because you have a nice, really high driving position. And I love the fact that you can leave the forward or rearward facing camera on when you're driving. It's a big display. I know it's not overly useful, but I just always like that feature. It gives great visibility, and there's lots of different settings that you can have it on as well. So in terms of how the car drives, the first thing is I'm going to drive back in, first of all, in sport. The reason is I can use the paddles for changing gears. So let's say, for example, starting off here, into second and into third, and you can see the little display where we've got 2, 3, 4 right up through the center. And then similarly then, if I want to go back down the gears, I can toggle back down 6, 5, 4, 3 using the left hand paddle. So that's what you're going to do when you're in sport mode. But if you go down and go back into, say, like eco mode, the paddles change function. So now the regenerative braking really kicks in, where the motor is actually trying to help slow down the vehicle and harvest. So I see down here I have different levels, like level 1, level 2, level 3. So level 3 would provide the most amount of regenerative braking. So when I let my foot off the brake, it feels like, off the accelerator, it feels like the car is slowing down, like it's held a little bit. And that is the regenerative braking that's actually slowing the vehicle down, harvesting energy and not using brake pads essentially as well. So when you pull up to a junction, if you get good at regenerative braking, you actually won't be using the brake pads as much. And what you can also do is, so you're on level 3, okay, but if you hold this, it goes into like a max reading, and that means then when you're holding that down, the car's actually more aggressively coming to a stop. So you can nearly actually use it as a brake pedal coming up to a roundabout almost. And all it's doing is just, again, trying to use the motor to slow down the vehicle, not using brake pads. Drives really nice. Anyway, for anyone that's not familiar, just really quick, right? You can own this car, put petrol in it. It will do some self-charging, and it'll allow you a little kind of 1/4 of a kilometre and half kilometre bursts of electric driving, and then it'll recharge itself using the petrol engine, and continuous in that vein. And I have some customers that will plug in hybrids and they never plug them in, but ideally you do want to plug it in, which you can use from a 3-pin socket or a charge point like so. And from what I can see, and I stand to be corrected on this, then that's going to be a 3.3 kilowatt hour rate at which it will charge, which means it's going to be circa around 4 hours. And then you'll end up with probably somewhere in the region of about 50 to 60 of kilometres of full electric driving. At which point, once that runs out, it reverts back to being a self-charging hybrid, where it does kind of short bursts of a 1/4 kilometre, half kilometre. I've other videos if you want me to go into more on it. Anyway, I know for some people they're going to be mega curious about how the car compares to the predecessor. Well, I think they will anyway. So let's have a look at it from the front. So in terms of the width of the car, this one here, it's only about 10 millimeters. It's only 1 centimetre wider than the previous model, but you can see here the shoulders along here and the roof, it does appear to be a hell of a lot higher than the previous one. It's also 9 centimeters higher than its predecessor as well, and some of that is made up by those larger roof rails. I think a lot of it, when you look around here, so looking at the previous model, you'll see how much that kind of sits up over it, so it's much squarer looking, and you'll really see it on the back as well. So when you compare the shapes on them, that's much more rounder. This one is much squarer. So in terms of length, there's about 6 centimeters. So this one's going to be 6 centimeters longer, 1 centimeter wider, 9 centimeters higher. But just think in your head about the way the space would be there for the boot, and then look at this one, the way it's more square. You can see how this would have a lot more storage in the rear. You can really see the difference here. So if you look at that aperture that's here, and then look at the aperture that's here, that is a much bigger opening section. One thing I wondered about this car was, why was it wide in the middle compared to the other one, which kind of goes all the way down, whereas this one goes around like that? And now you can see it's because the extra space that's created around here. In terms of space, while the seats are up in the back, no 7-seater in my opinion is ever good at this. There's a teeny bit more space over here. I don't think it's massively different, because as I was saying to you, once the rear seats are up in a 7-seater, it's not glamorous. But to be fair, once those seats have folded down and you're into like a 5-seater mode, looking at this and then transitioning into this, there's more space over here, and this is actually a class-leading amount of boot space that's in here. If you like your figures, that is 628 litres of storage right there. And if I drop down the seats, I get 1,929 litres of storage in that area with the 2 seats left up at the front. For anyone that's interested how you look when you're in the back, so power tailgate, nice LED lighting actually for the license plates. I'll look at the lighting a bit better in a sec anyway. So let's get into the back. Like the previous model, there's a button over here. Ooh, it's going to rain, really heavy. And let's be honest, these 7-seaters, not really ideal for adults. But when you're sitting in the back, like any 7-seater like this, they're not made for big people in the back. So for an adult, it's really more comfortable for kids that are probably up to maybe 10, 11, 12. And after that, it's a bit of a tight squeeze. But to be fair, you get ventilation and a USB connector. You get USB connector, 12-volt power, and also another ventilator, and I can control the air conditioning from back here. And the other thing as well is, you see the way I moved that seat from there? That used to be only on the left-hand side in the previous model. I can now do the same thing on both sides. One other little feature I see here as well, there's little coat hooks on both of those sides there if you want to use them. And actually they're on the rear as well. So the rear seats, coat hook, and the same on the other side as well. And then the material along through here, nice designs on the interior. And the seats will have a recline function as well, so you can get really comfortable as a passenger in one of these. One other really neat thing is, it definitely feels bigger from before. I know this is going to sound stupid, but this area here seems to feel like a lot wider or something. They've just done a better job in the ergonomics there. Lights up through here. Ooh, nice kind of delayed LED style blind in through here. Over there then heated seats and controls. Nice big drinks holders in through there. Little H designs, the emblems along through here. And also then I can access the glove box. The front glove box I can access from the rear. And there's a little storage bin in there as well. Armrested through the centre with a drinks holder. And look at this, this is neat. USB-C. USB-C. But yeah, as a 6-foot adult, you would be really comfortable sitting in the back of this car. And then there's more ventilation, as you can see, in through here as well. So we've seen it already. They are electrically controlled seats. And again, these have the relaxation function as well. But one thing that's handy for the driver is you can control the passenger seat movement, because the electric controls are all the way down there. So you have functions in here for controlling relaxation seat for the passenger, so the driver can manipulate it. Again, really nice interior. Nice bolsters, support of either side. Nice designs like these H kind of references that you see all the way around the car. Everywhere you look in the car, there's like these kind of little H references. The ambient lighting down through there, I can't wait to see that at night time, because it's going to go all the way over there. That'll be really nice, and it's obviously going to be in other areas as well. We already saw that we can access this from the front and the back. Big drinks holders, 2 wireless charge pads, more USB connectors in through there. UV sterilization control unit, control button. So in there is storage, but it's also a UV sterilizer using UV rays to sterilize mobile devices or whatever. Put it in there, close it, turn it on. Really, really cool. In there is a glove box. That is a very unusual feature to see in the car these days. It's so you can actually break glass and access a vehicle trying to get in or trying to get out of this one if you went underwater or something like that. So that's really kind of cool, and hopefully never gets used by anyone. Right, these are 2 12.3-inch screens. You'll see there the way they have a kind of wraparound setup, so kind of it's really driver orientated, and they have all the nice kind of newer I suppose Hyundai operating system. Things like in here it'll give you information about average fuel efficiency, what mode is in, there's engine temperature, there's also the 4-wheel drive information, and there's also the information about which amount of range you have, whether it's hybrid or full electric driving ranges. Lights will be, wipers will be automatic, lights will be automatic. Actually, one cool thing on the lights, so they're all LED, right? So if you see, you have your LED on here, just turn on the headlights. They have this kind of very slow fading effect. It's hard to get in the frame rate I have in the camera, but the lights come on and then the daytime runners kind of slowly disappear. Indicators then change from where the daytime running light was, so they're really, really cool. And then let's look at these LEDs. Again, we have that H pattern. Lights on, H pattern there. Brakes, okay, similar H pattern. Rear reverse, try it again, yeah, reverse down through here and then fog over through there. Just when I think of it, actually I forgot, the seats that we're in, they have memory function as well. The camera is super cool, so if you go for reverse, it gives me multiple options. So basically I can have a full camera looking backwards, I can look at the sides, I can have a combined version, I can just have straight down, and then I can also have this 360 setup as well if I want, so that's pretty cool. And actually what happens, even simple things like, I know it's a different shape wheel, that's what's really on the car, but they turn. And if you're driving forward, then you can have big forward camera. Again, multiple functionality on that. And also that links into the blind view monitor. So if we turn left, I get information here about what's down the side. If I turn right, I get information. Really useful with bikes and those e-scooters these days. This whole unit is a video within itself. There's lots of functionality about changing how it's laid out. I would have to go into another video on that and just try and keep moving through what we have here at the moment. There is a heads-up display along here. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see directly down through there, heads-up display to give you information about traffic and speed. Actually, one other thing I forgot to do when we were looking at the lights, there is where the indicators, big, long, slender indicators on either side. For anyone that's wondering, there is lighting in there for when you put your hand at night time, and then lock is here, and similarly unlock is the same button along through there. So you'll have a remote parking function, so lock the car. Second thing is then, so I said the door was way too tight and I just couldn't open it. Hold this button for 3 seconds, it's starting up, you can see the clock's going, you see the blind spot indicator and the wing mirror lighting up. And then I have forward and backwards. I know we're not in a tight space here, but if I wanted, I could hold that. Car is started up, and I'm going to take the car for a walk. Pretty cool. And then just to stop that, I just let go. And then I could turn off the car by pressing the off button here. And sometimes people ask, yes, the car stays locked while you're doing that function, so nobody can jump into it. It's such a good looking car that it has this kind of look about it that sort of looks like nearly moving when it's parked up. It's really nice shape, and like some people will like it and some people won't compared to the other, and that's just naturally what happens when new models come out. When I saw it first, the front and the side I was really impressed with. The rear I wasn't as sure about, but actually it's been with us about 24 hours now and it's starting to grow on me more and more. And I think it's going to be very much targeted towards lifestyle kind of stuff. This is kind of cool here. Open up the door. On both sides there is a lock. I can open that and then I can put that in and I can use that to climb up. Oh, ouch, that's not the right hand to be using. Okay, so I can use that to climb up high. Now, to be fair, right, I could have done that naturally, but actually no, that's much harder when I try to do it like that. So it is easier when I put my hand in here and lift myself up like so. The wheelbase is actually longer than before as well, so that's obviously a big help when it comes to legroom in the back. I actually quite like this little Santa Fe detail in through here, and these are 20s. So the previous model plug-in hybrid came with 19s in Ireland. These are 20s. A lot of people used to want bigger wheels on the previous model when it came out, so now at least on this Calligraphy you have these really nice 20-inch black alloy wheels. There's details you wouldn't even think about. So like these door mirrors, they're actually optimized to have really good airflow over them to reduce to improve aerodynamic efficiency. Same with the whole shape of the car all the way down, and even the underflow down here. They've gone for the flattest under section along there to reduce drag. Maybe if you're eagle-eyed you might have seen it already, or you might not, but these have, in here there is a Bose stereo system, and that comes with 12 speakers and also a subwoofer as well, so there's really good sound. Actually, one place, and it wouldn't be an obvious one, where you really hear the sound is just starting and stopping the car. They always have a chime, but this one, the chime actually has kind of, it sounds much more panoramic, and it also has nearly a bit of bass in it as well. So it's much louder, like not in an annoying way, it's just the other one had like a monotone sort of chime. It's the same notes, but it just sounds way deeper on this one. Obviously that's just a stupid detail that I have noticed, but it means I think the stereo system probably is very good. I like the way these badges are all black on this Calligraphy one down through there. It's a real matte black badging setup, front and rear, so it looks really nice. And you'll have seen it inside. There's all these references to H, so H. You've seen it on the seats inside. All around this car there's loads of H references for Hyundai. In terms of safety, right, for crash load distribution, which is basically I suppose to do with how the car folds around the occupants and tries to reduce the impact into the cabin, that's improved from the old model. One thing on these cars is the steel that's used in it is 4.5% higher tensile than that was used in the previous model before. And the previous model used to have 6 airbags, whereas these ones have 10. So that means you got a big long curtain one all the way down the side. There's a central one between the occupants here. There's a driver's knee one as well. And like you'd expect then, front, side, and also into the second row, there's also side airbags there as well. And there's also things like forward collision avoidance, which is going to try and apply the brakes if you haven't touched them. But especially now, that includes things like cyclists and pedestrians, whereas over the years, that was more just to do with looking at a car that was in front of you. Actually, one other cool thing, I just seen it by accident here. So this is the button you used to press to get into the back. But little kids are little kids, and they won't be able to get all the way up through there. I've actually put the button down here as well, so kids can get in that way. This is a pretty awesome car. Looks really cool. Can't wait to see them on the road. Can't wait to drive one on the road, actually. So I just wanted to cover some of that stuff there. It's not all encompassing, but it's the important things I think that most people will care about or would like to know about on the car. One other thing I forgot, which is normally something I'd mention straight away. This car, from my limited knowledge so far, because I still need to do a bit more research, but I believe this car is, like last time, 265 horsepower, and it's definitely a 4-wheel drive setup like what was on the last one. If you've managed to watch the video so far, I appreciate it. Just a couple of things. This is a Calligraphy model, so for anyone that's curious about the Calligraphy gets a lot more black accents all the way around the car. It gets these black 20-inch wheels. The interior, like we saw on a Calligraphy, only comes in a black Napa leather like this. The sterilization box is only featured on the Calligraphy. The C-pillar assist that we talked about is only on the Calligraphy, and a 2-tone leather steering wheel. Not sure exactly what that means. I'd have to see what the other one looks like, but it's called a 2-tone leather steering wheel. And basically any other sections where you see high gloss seems to be specific to the calligraphy model. I do have another model, another video if you want to just have a look at it, this one here, and that'll just run through the first time I saw what I think is the premium model that'll come into Ireland. But anyway, hopefully the video has been useful. Hopefully you like the car. If there's information you want, let me know in the comment section below. I'm only getting used to it, so if I can answer any questions, please do ask. And if you've watched the whole lot of it, I really appreciate it. Thanks.